Everybody, Jerome Wright here once again, and once again you're joining me on my Jerome Wright channel. Alright, in this video I'm going to be discussing animated cartoons. They are all over TV now, and I remember when there were just a few. I think it seems like it began with Mad TV, those cartoons, and then it escalated, South Park, The Simpsons, and then you have Futurama. This is Futurama, a skit from Futurama there now. And there's American Dad, Family Guy, Cleveland Brown Show, Ricky and Morty, The Boondocks, and Aqua Teen Hunger Force, just to name a few. And it seems like they all are competing with one another to see who can be more vulgar and just so despicable than the next. And you say to yourself, I mean, we started to the fact that people are accepting this. They're in here talking about sex. They're in here talking about blood. There's violence with guns. There's death, dogs being ran over. I mean, you name it, and it's all there. There is nothing left out of these cartoons for the imagination, especially if a child runs across it on TV. Now, of course, you're supposed to censor this in your own home, but for the most part, most family homes, and I was strict with my kids on what they could watch and what they could not watch on TV. However, I mean, there are so many of them. I have 300 plus channels. There are so many of these shows that you can only lock out but so much because another one is popping up from somewhere. I mean, it's just bizarre how people are not speaking out against this. Well, in this video I've been meaning to put it up. This video is dedicated to me showing you the understanding and what is truly being said about these cartoons. First of all, as you know through my many other videos here, I decode Renaissance art. I'm telling you that these cartoons are related to Renaissance artwork. Also to court origins, and also they are relating to genetic manipulation of mankind's being and gene swapping, in other words. All right, these cartoons are message boards. All right, I'm gonna go flip through them right quick and show you some things. This is Futurama. This is a little boy from the Cleveland Brown Show, and this one is called The Great Pancake. This is the name of the movie. This specifically caught my attention because I seen a glob similar to this, which is in Otter Dix's archive. That glob right there. This is it to you on face. It looks like a little boy marred down in candies and chocolates. You know what that is? A boy shown actually stuck, being defeated genetically from within on DNA. That's what that is discussing right there. These cartoons, people, are all about DNA. You have innuendos of homosexuality, bisexuality, lesbian acts. Here's Cleveland Brown with a Russian-like woman. All discussing DNA. If you look at the acts of what is being said, here's again Cleveland Brown in the neighborhood. The coloring of these people's clothes, the behaviors, the plot for the cartoon that comes on, it stays on for about a half an hour. The entire plot from beginning to end discusses how DNA is being passed from one individual to the next, or from one family member to the next, or to the neighbor, or to a worker, a co-worker. If you watch these shows, it would be almost like from beginning to the end, like if somebody had contracted AIDS and was passing it along. And they're showing you the passage of DNA. This is Lois and Bonnie, the kiss on Cleveland Brown. Again, to understand this, you have to understand the fact of where lesbian acts first took root in a cult-like way. I'm going to be doing a video on that. It comes to my knowledge that lesbian acts are recorded from earlier on in, I believe it was the early on in 18th century, where 3 lesbian women were involved in lesbian acts and the drinking of each other's blood, and this is where the original vampire movie came from. People, this here, if you watch this, then Cleveland Brown comes in and hands them a glass as if he's handing them his DNA. You have to see the show to know what I'm talking about. But to understand them, think DNA when you watch these shows. And the understanding become perfectly clear. Here's where Cleveland Brown actually is handing them a glass of water, but it's actually enlarged. I mean, a glass of a wine right there. He has the bottle behind him. And then they engaged in that kiss. Like if he's giving them his DNA, and now they're bridging themselves between it. So after he hands them, he has the bottle at his side there. See the bottle on the other hand? And he's handing them a drink. He leaves the room. Like if he's giving them his DNA, they begin doing this. And there's the bottle there on the floor. The glass is on the floor that Cleveland Brown gave them. People, you have to see this to believe it. Again, here's another skit. I believe this is the Family Guy, and look at this, people. All of this is relating to DNA. You're wondering, why would a man be on a forklift doing that? These vessels represent genetic bridgings. These vessels represent indirect contact of genes, supporting genes. That's what this is. This is what this is representing. These cartoons. These 2 characters. Look at these cartoons as DNA flowing through the vessels. I mean, through the veins of your body. And this is what these cartoons are based on, as is Renaissance art. They're animated. Renaissance art is almost like an animated cartoon. Look at this here. Here's this guy again. I just showed you he's on the, I gotta hurry up, I gotta speed it up. On the forklift, moving this guy in this fashion. Now check this out. Here he is doing this with a beast whale, which this creature we evolved from. You have to understand that this is one of the creatures that we genetically evolved from. And look at the blood in the forklift on the beach. Impractical when you think about it, because we all know that a forklift cannot be on the beach. It's impractical, and what he's doing is impractical. However, the message is very practical of what he's stating about how he's bridging and tapping back into these genes. And you have to see the whole episode to know what I'm talking about. Here's Rick and Morty. They are actually inside of an artery and moving around in this. And this is what this show is based on. They're inside of a body. All of these shows are based on that, on genes. Here's another one of Rick and Morty in a genetic land where they're altering things. Look at Rick and Morty again in this spiraling effect, as if Morty is trying to push Rick's head down on his penis, and the boy is pushing away saying, no, you're not going to do it. And they're inside of this gene. Look at the implication here, people. He's pushing the boy's head down at his penis, and the boy's saying no. And he's showing you that that's what he's talking about by pushing away from his waist. Here's another episode of Rick and Morty. Again, in this episode, there's a scene that they were talking about and discussing about genes. How people go into rooms with one person, and then that person will come out talking like the person that they went into the room with, saying that, okay, now I'm covenanting in this person's genes, now I'm him. You have to see these. Oh, by the way, look at his mouth. Like, I done did you, now you got to do me. You see the semen around, the implication of the semen around the mouth? Here is the Simpsons I gotta keep it moving here. Here's the Simpsons Jumbo Jet with Simpsons on it. That reminds me of the Beatles' Yellow Submarine, which I've linked to genetic bridging. And here is the Simpsons. Look at this here, where he's on a tube in the water and sucking the kitties' bottles. People, come on. And one of the kids is black and the other one is considered white. Genetically bridged between both. Again, I gotta hurry because I'm gonna run out of time. I'm gonna have to put more on writing. Again, here, this is the Simpsons, and this is a collage of people. You will see this a lot too in a lot of the shows. Again, that reminds me of the Beetle. What is that? And this is Futurama right here. Is that Futurama? Yeah, this is the Futurama. This is the Simpsons, and it reminds me of the Beatles on how they show you the collage of genes of each character and what they represent. The same exact thing. I gotta keep it moving, people. Here's the Aqua Teen Hunger Force, where it's showing you how food such as McDonald's is genetically altering us. The hamburger, the fries, and the drink. I gotta keep it going now, people. Again, this is Rick and Morty in the bubble bladder. All of these shows representing DNA. They're in the bubble bladder. Here's the Hunger Teen Aqua Force again. This is a commercial. Look at this, people. DNA. Everything in representation of DNA. Extraction. Gene extraction and gene manipulation. And it's all about black. Look at this here. This is South Park. Look at the black woman bridged over the boy. Look at this. You have to watch the shows in this way to understand exactly what it is. What is this image of a black woman on the boy, showing you she giving him her genes to his tits, and then he's passing it on to the next person. You have to see it. It's like a chain of events, like a domino effect. Watch these shows, people. If you didn't watch them or you wasn't attracted to them before, watch them, and then watch them in a sense where they didn't make sense before. Look at them as being cells, stem cells, being branched off from one individual to the next. And this one here, the Family Guy, even the dog is actually in it. The fish and everybody is all in this. All about genes and genetics. Oh, they're having sex, and the dog and the man walks in on them. That's what this is about. There you go there. Genes. And then you will see them two pick up the genes and take them home. You have to see these shows, people. Here's South Park. Again, all about genes and the direction of genes. Also the Boondocks. This is the last one. The show called the Boondocks. Again, the gathering of the people. Each and every character in these cartoons play a significant part of taking genes from one individual to the next, and in some cases they have these bridges where there are two women that engage in sexual acts or kissing and insinuating that the insinuation that they have in sex, and then somebody will come in, pick up the genes from what they created in a cauldron-like way, and then take it off in another direction. That's the best way to describe that picture I just showed as being that of a cauldron. These clusters, these are the same way that Renaissance artists did it. Cauldrons. This is a cauldron of genes that they are showing you the direction of them and how they were created and dispersed through cartoons. Again, in the background of the Beatles. That's as soon as I saw these cartoons, you'll see them. And when the Family Guy comes on, you would actually see that they are on a spiraling disc that looks like cells. In their entry, in their welcome being when the show first comes on, point blank, okay, it shows like cells. I gotta stop this because I lost train of thought for a minute. I gotta stop. This is my time is up. Park, The Simpsons, and then you have Futurama. This is Futurama, a skit from Futurama there now, and there's American Dad, Family Guy, Cleveland Brown Show, Ricky and Morty, the Boondocks, and Aqua Teen Hunger Force. Buddy Jerome right here once again, and once again you're joining me on my Jerome Wright channel. All right, in this video I'm going to be discussing animated cartoons. They are all over TV now, and I remember when there were just a few. I think it seems like it began with Mad TV, those cartoons, and then it escalated south. Most family homes, and I was strict with my kids on what they could watch and what they could not watch on TV. However, there are so many of them on. I have 300 plus channels. There are so many of these shows that you can only lock out but so much because another one is popping up from somewhere. Blood, there's violence with guns, there's death, dogs being ran over. You name it and it's all there. There is nothing left out of these cartoons for the imagination, especially if a child runs across it on TV. Now, of course, you're supposed to censor this in your own home, but for the most, just to name a few, and it seems like they all are competing with one another to see who can be more vulgar and just so despicable than the next. And you say to yourself, we started to the fact that people are accepting this. They're in here talking about sex. They're in here talking about